Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we'll be focusing on sustaining peace, security and stability in the Middle East. Thanks to Egypt, one of the main pillars of the peace and preserving security and stability in the Middle East and Africa and the Mediterranean regions as well. We'll be focusing on the foreign policy efforts that we have seen under the tenure of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry to be having good relations with the brotherly countries in the Mediterranean region as well as the Middle East and the African continent, which led to more foreign direct investments being poured into the Egyptian territories in the past couple of years. We will be starting straight away with the main top stories that took place on Sunday. One of them comes from the presidential activities of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who paid an unannounced visit to Nasr City First Police Station at Iftar on Sunday evening. The President got assured over work progress at the station and the quality of services provided. President al-Sisi also had a conversation with the police officers, conscripts and the citizens. The head of state also was briefed on the IT systems adopted at the police station, notably the electronic system that allows the defendants appear before the prosecutors from inside the police station. The President had his breakfast meal with the police officers and conscripts, greeting them for their diligent work for the sake of the nation. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, as we did see, having breakfast or the meal of iftar at the holy fasting month of Ramadan with the officers, with the conscripts, and listening to the demands of the citizens as well at the police station in Nasr City, a living proof that the holy fasting month of Ramadan is not just for laziness. It is an effort, an opportunity to work more, to be realizing more the aspirations of the Egyptian people at different fields, as we did see at the beginning of the month, the first suhoor banquet for President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the administrative capital, and more specifically the Egyptian Islamic Cultural Center, the first suhoor with the Grand Imam, the Mufti of the Republic, with the Minister of Endowments, all this as we did see during the holy fasting month of Ramadan. President al-Sisi also having breakfast on the 10th of Ramadan in different cities other than Cairo, in Ismailiyah, in Suez Canal cities, to be proving that the fasting month of Ramadan is an opportunity to work more and to be having a better chance to be getting more closer to God. We will be heading to the next top story for today, and it also comes from the presidential activities of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who held a meeting on Sunday with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, the Minister of Agriculture, Said Al-Qusayr, Minister of Irrigation, Hani Suwailem, Director of National Service Authority, General Walid Abu al-Majd, and the head of the Armed Forces Engineering Authority, General Ahmed Al-Azazi. Presidential spokesman, Councillor Ahmed Fahmi, said that President al-Sisi was briefed during the meeting on the latest developments of the national projects of land reclamation. The head of state was also briefed on the joint efforts exerted by all the concerned parties to expand the area of the cultivated lands in several projects, including Sharq Al-Uwaynat, Tushka, Sinai, Upper Egypt, and the New Delta. And we will be having more details at the presidential activities of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, but about the whole of the last week at the end of the daily debate for tonight. We will be heading to another top story, and it comes from Pope of Alexandria and the Patriarch of St. Mark's Cathedral, Pope Theodoros II, as he headed the Coptic Orthodox Palm Sunday Mass in San Bishoy Monastery in Wadi al-Natrun on Sunday. The Mass was attended by bishops, priests, monks, and a number of the church children. We will be heading to the main topic and the first report of the daily debate for tonight, as Egypt is the main pillar of preserving security, peace and stability, not just for the Mediterranean region, but for the Middle East and the African continent as well. And all this is thanks to the foreign policy efforts, as we have seen in the past couple of years, or more specifically in the past 7 to 8 years under the tenure of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry with the brotherly nations and the neighboring countries. We'll be having more details in the upcoming report, so stay tuned.
Preserving Egypt's stability is key to achieving the region's stability, and vice versa. The stability of the Middle East enforces Egypt's stability. Supporting the pillars of stability in the Middle East is one of the objectives of Egypt's foreign policy. This is what the President's speeches always point to on different occasions through the recurrent use of certain vocabulary such as internal stability, homeland stability, consolidation of state stability, the region's stability, secure and stable environment, and the value of security, safety, and stability, as well as interactions between Cairo and its regional sphere. This has been reflected by different actions illustrating compatibility between approach and behavior. The attempt to resolve the Libyan conflict, backing the Lebanese government, reinforcing the Arabian Gulf security, elevating the level of relations with Iraq and Jordan. Movements exerted by the Egyptian presidency and foreign ministry echoed the governing trends of Egypt's policy path towards resolving armed conflicts in Arab world or regional interferences in Arab affairs. Egypt is considered the main regional power that has balanced relations with the conflicting parties in Libya, whether in the east or in the west, and also among tribes. These aspects are establishing the pillars of the new state, restoring security and implementing services and developmental projects that have a direct impact on Libyans, especially those related to reconstruction efforts and supporting stability in a later stage after the withdrawal of foreign troops. On the issue of Lebanon, Egypt is keen to rescue Lebanon out of its crisis through resolving disputes among political currents, lifting national interest above partisan interests and speeding up efforts to form a government capable of dealing with current challenges. Egypt's support to Lebanon is also manifested in Egyptian aid to Lebanon in the wake of the explosion of Beirut's harbor and the COVID-19 pandemic. On the reinforcement of the Arabian Gulf security during his meeting with the Gulf Cooperation Council's GCC Secretary General President Sisi stressed the uniqueness of Egyptian Gulf relations and that the security of the Arabian Gulf is interlinked to Egypt's national security as one of Egypt's policy constants. This comes within the frame of Egypt's regional role to establish security, stability, and development. Egypt is also keen on raising the level of elections with Iraq and Jordan. Egypt's policy is heading towards enhancing its relations with Iraq and Jordan, which is described as the New Orient or the New Levant. The Egyptian-Iraqi-Jordanian consensus on supporting the region's security, which was echoed by tripartite mechanism meeting. The three sides have also agreed on increasing economic and investment cooperation, especially in the field of energy. Arab countries are confronting multiple threats, including infringement on their structures, the growing danger of terrorist organizations, and the expansion of organized crime, which all requires cooperation and joint security coordination. President Sisi stressed in his speech during the inauguration of the Arab Intelligence Forum headquarters the importance of collective action in the framework of Arab Brotherhood to restore stability in all the region's countries, especially in areas that witness instability and crises due to activities of terrorist groups which are backed by foreign regional and international powers aiming to create chaos in order to control the destinies of our beloved nations.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate. As we did see in the past report that Egypt is the main pillar of peace, security and stability in the Middle East, in the Mediterranean and in Africa as well, all over the continent, and to be focusing on the role of foreign policy as well as the political and the economic stability in attracting foreign direct investment to Egypt over the past years. I'm honored to be having with me over the program for tonight Dr. Hani Abdulaziz, the former UN Assistant Secretary General. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you very much for hosting me.
Anytime. First of all, we'll be starting with the latest escalations at Palestine, at Al-Aqsa Mosque, and what happened there. How do you see the role of Egypt in easing the tension with all of the parties back there?
In very simple terms, the role of Egypt is the role of moderator,
yes,
of moderations, by talking to all parties on an equal footing, under some constant policies of Egypt, which is the defense of the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people.
Yes.
From all point of views, but at the same time, I think Egypt also guarantees the security of the state of Israel without hesitation, and it's a very keen interest to Egypt to have on its different borders a very peaceful situation, allowing for, as you rightly said, for development, for attraction of direct investments, for the social economic development domestically in the country. We know that a country to develop politically, regionally and internationally has to be very solid at the domestic level first, economically, yes, socially, etc. Then it allows a multiple diverse role on the regional and international scene.
In order to be having or developing the foreign policy relations with other countries, especially the neighboring and the regionally close countries, you mentioned that we need to be solid. We have a solid ground, especially on the economic, on the political levels. How do you see a quick comparison between what happened here in Egypt in 2011 up until 2014, going through the terrorism brotherhood organization, or the terrorist brotherhood organization, and how we got rid of all those terrorists. And now, in 2023, how can you see both times?
You're pushing me to talk a bit about, the history of Egypt on a regional basis. I mean,
Yes.
since several dynasties, Pharaohic dynasty, Egypt played a very important regional role in the ancient world, where the Americas were not known, where Africa was not. Was existing, but was not all those discoveries there.
Yes.
Where Asia was, okay, there was some very old Asian, Persian, also Asian societies and history, but Egypt had since that a very, very important role. What is a problem? The importance of playing a regional role has definitely a multitude of positive effects, but it has also a lot of negative impacts.
Yes.
In a sense, what we can call in French convoitise means that due to the geographical, strategic importance of Egypt since millenniums, so many countries wanted to contain the role of Egypt by
Yes.
creating internal problems, to push Egypt to subjugate itself to the solution of its internal problems,
Yes.
like fighting terrorism, like development, like many other issues, not to expand a shining role, I would say, in the region, because by having a shining role or an important role regionally, you step on the foot of other powers, not regional necessarily.
Yes.
Also, maybe
But they
regional.
have interests here.
Who have interests, Roman Empire, they wanted Egypt because it was, the land which provided wheat, provided to the Roman Empire, to the what's called the Lake Mediterranean.
Yes.
Alexander the Great came to Egypt. Persian came twice to Egypt. Everybody wants to come and occupy Egypt and control Egypt. French Bonapartes came, Ottomans, etc. Therefore, it has a lot of. It raises a lot of challenges to Egypt, to the government, to the authorities, actual and before. Then we had the problems in Egypt of. I don't want to speak negatively about 30 years of etc. of immobility or lack of mobility
Yes.
on the African continent, for example, by Egypt due to the assassination attempt you are aware of. But before that, Egypt during its support to the liberation movement in Africa in particular, but also in Asia and also in Latin America.
Yes.
The relation with Cuba, the relation between the then President Nasser, whatever error he made on the national scene, I have to recognize it.
Yes.
And I know how bad it was to Egypt, certain things. But the role of Egypt with Nehru on an equal footing, with Mao Zedong on an equal footing, with Tito of Yugoslavia on an equal footing, and the relation he had personally with Nyerere of Tanzania, with Nkrumah of Ghana, whose wife, by the way, is Egyptian,
Yes.
with Sekou Touré, with so many leaders before the emergence of other Arab interests in the region. But unfortunately, there was this. I'm sure it was an international conspiracy from. I'm not against the West, but from the West, to again contain and limit the role of Egypt in 1967. However, in a more recent history, since 2011, as you rightly said,
Yes.
and 2013, there was two revolutions, popular revolution. It was popular. It was popular. There is no way to deny it by some circles. No, it was really popular. I think we all eventually participated in a way or another in pushing for that. That had a negative impact, of course, on the economy, on the internal stability. It raises internal challenges in fighting the terrorism in Sinai, supported by some other big powers. I would not enter into that, but everybody knows. then you got the pandemic impact, then you got the Ukraine-Russian war, whatever you want to call it differently, but it is there, and Egypt imports from those countries 70%, I think 70%, yes, I think so, of its wheat, its grains in general, whatever other things. But at the same time, Egypt was able, since that, to develop a lot through the effort of the head of state, of the President Sisi, with the support of Mr. Shoukry, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Let me say, Egypt resembles France in certain aspects where the external policies, regional, international policy, are the exclusive domain of the president. It's like the French regime. The French political system is based on that. Yes. Nobody interferes in international affairs except the president through, bien sûr, or of course, through his Minister of Foreign Affairs and the whole diplomatic establishment. Therefore, there is challenge. Egypt continues to be challenged continuously, regional and international, to contain it within the limits, not to and to avoid.
And Doctor, you mentioned that all those events took place within Egypt or affecting Egypt even from the outside world in the space of 10 to 12 years.
Exactly.
How do you see the efforts of Egypt still?
There is
still having an impact over the outside world, and more specifically on the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and Africa.
No, we have to recognize that in 2013, for example, Egypt was suspended from the African Union organization. Okay? Now, it took a lot of effort that Egypt became, at a certain time, I think 2 years ago, the president of the Council of Peace and Security of the African Union. Yes. Okay, this is a lot of work, underground work, open work, diplomatic work, exchange of interest too, yes. Because we are challenged by even some North African countries. We have to recognize that, and by some other African countries in this role. And you know the situation concerning the Renaissance Dam, for example, which there is no unified position in the African Union towards supporting the absolutely legitimate, I'm very strong about this, rights of Egypt and Sudan too, in water. It's a matter of survival.
Yes.
Therefore, there has been a lot of effort. People probably, we don't see it. Maybe you, media people, you should speak more about it or get more informed, maybe, informed about the effort made, the result made, the multitude of visits the president made to many African countries, regional countries too, Middle Eastern countries, improving the relation. I mean, it has a very much ascendant tendency. It was a very ascendant tendency, and effort and results, because we have to count on results. In a very challenging world, in a very challenging situation, as you rightly said, again, it's not to please you, but in a very short period of time. Yes. A very short period of time. We faced all of this. We're able to do our best in it. We get some very good results. But this effort has to be constant, has to be repeated and repeated and repeated on a regular basis without any hesitation. It's a challenging world. There is competition. Everybody wants to have access to others, improve its relationship, not because of the water only, because hundreds of issues, economic issues, development issues.
Even the United States and Europe and Asia, maybe China, they have interests in Africa, for example.
Tremendously. I spent 18 years in Africa, for example. Therefore, I have a bit of knowledge about what's happening in some countries in Africa, because Africa is a huge continent with different tendencies. It's not one country, it's not one mentality, it's not one policy. But we're not doing bad. On the contrary, we're doing good, very good, but we have to do much more.
How do you see the foreign policy file under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in general and Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry in the past 7 or 8 years? How do you think we have developed the bilateral relations of Egypt with other countries in Africa, in the other continents as well at the same time?
You know, our relation with African countries returned and started during the Nasser period during our support. It was very strong support with a lot of challenges, a lot of sacrifices we made for support of the liberation movement in Africa. And here the relation was excellent. Then there was a drop. We have to recognize that.
Yes.
Also during the presidency of President Sadat, there was good results, but it was 30 years of sleeping.
Yes.
And we all know it, and it's not a shame to speak about it. It's not a shame to speak about negative things, because we have to an appropriate diagnostic of situation to find the good remedies. Then now, okay, this is a renewal. We're restarting effort, almost from scratch, sir, almost from scratch. Yes. And it takes time, and changing a relationship, establishing personal relationship, building confidence, building trust is extremely important, and this comes with time. Therefore, the result in such a short period of time, I repeat again,
yes,
are very good, at least, if not more. But it has to be constant, it has to be continued, it never stops, it has to be redoubled through the diplomatic efforts, through the international efforts, through our international presence, which has to improve a lot. I come from the United Nations background. Yes, the Egyptian situation in the multitude of international organizations has deteriorated. But this is not now. And there is reasons for this. There is reason for this. We have to look to this, to remedy this in terms of who are the people we support from your generation, what are the posts we like to have on absolutely competency basis only. Therefore, there is still a lot to do. We have to continue. I mean, and this is my point. Even if it looks negative, it's not. It's to encourage more efforts. To progress more on the different front, facing again.
تتعلق بالقدرة على العمل النفسي أولا مع الحالات النفسية ومع الناس بصفة عامة.
تمام يا فندم، الوزارة طبعا بتقوم بعمل دورات تدريبية للضباط لكيفية التعامل مع كافة الحالات، سواء المرضى النفسيين، سواء ذوي الهمم، جميع المواطنين.
All the citizens. Tell me about two cases, for example, which were really called to your attention regarding the humanitarian files. There were two. For example, one, an old lady from Aswan, and she was residing in El Sharawi Street in Cairo, and she is living on her own, and she asked for help. She said that she is very sick, and she is not able to receive her pension. Of course, we went to her immediately and with one of the officers, and we helped her to be paid and to get her pension.
لو احنا تعاملنا مع المخالفة على ان هي حالة ما اتفاعلتش معها كإنسان واتنرفزت او انفعلت، حاضر اتعامل اتصور، لكن لو تعاملت معها على ان انا فعل قدامي ورد فعل مني انا ممكن يحصل تجاوز، وده امر احنا محتاجين ان هو ما يبقاش موجود عندنا. بالتالي لما بقول
we need to make sure that there is self-restraint, that our actions and reactions are that much appropriate for the situations we found ourselves in. There's a great difference between having a case and the way we are dealing with that case. And this comes with the practice. When you deal with the sheriff, with the chief here in the station, you are going to find many cases and many situations you are going to find yourself in. I'd like to know if you write a report every now and then with the cases you face. Your notes. After a year, you are going to find these writings. Your diaries are going to give you a lot to benefit from. You are going to use all what you've written. Do you need anything? Happy Ramadan to you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing the unannounced visit of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to Nasr City First Police. Happy Ramadan to all of you. How are you? Now the officers are introducing themselves to the president and also their jobs. I am the one who is responsible for distributing the meals to all the members of the stations. I am also participating in implementing all the decisions of the prosecution. Am I able to see the meals which are going to distribute? Of course, one of my missions here is to examine the complaints introduced by the citizens. Of course, your job is a tiring one. I am here for 25 years. I want to hear from you in 25 years. Of course, this is such a long time. Happy Ramadan to all of you, and I'll see you once again. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi got assured over the work progress at the station and the quality of services provided. I am responsible for receiving all the complaints of the citizens and to take all the procedures regarding them, and also to give all the important data and instructions to the patrols, the security patrols in around our station. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are watching the unannounced and surprise visit to Nasr City First Police Station by the President, and the President took his iftar with the security personnel in the station. And now the President is asking all people, all those on duty, to share him with the iftar. You wanted to say something? Of course, we are going to take a photo with you after iftar. The President is asking the officers and the conscripts to tell him their stories.
فقلت اعدي اعمل محضر قبل ما اروح الصبح عشان اوديها تتصلح عشان ده باص خالص يعني. دي عربيه خاصه بيك. حبيبي انت عايز تعمل محضر ليه؟ عشان شركه تامين، انا عامل عليها شركه تامين فلازم.
Now one of the citizens is saying why he was in the station and how why he wanted to make a complaint, because he wanted to get the insurance of his car after having some damages. The President is exchanging dialogue with the citizens, some of the citizens who were there by chance, and also the security personnel who were on duty by that time in the Nasr City First Police Station. One of the citizens is telling his story regarding having a scholarship and how he was that much excited, not because of the scholarship, but how he is going to represent Egypt in a good way outside and to give this civilized image about the Egyptians abroad. Let me know. I want to know your free time. Do you have free time here? I work for 8 hours here. And even I would continue working even after the 8 hours. If there's extra work, I'm going to continue my job until I finish my work. The 8 hours, of course, on daily basis, but according to the work or the missions I have, I'm going to continue working until I finish them all. Of course, your health, your personal life, you should take care of all of this. We are up to the mission, sir, and we give you a promise that we are going to be all the time up to the mission, and we are going to introduce the best service for all citizens. We are implementing on the ground all your instructions and directives, and we want to assure you that security is prevailing all over Egypt.
استمر يا فندم وحضرتك قدوة لينا.
You are a role model for all of us, sir.
احنا ممكن زي ما سيادتك قلت
As you've said, sir,
ساعات العمل والضغط بتخلينا ننسى ان احنا نهتم.
when it comes to the pressure of work and the number of hours we are working, all this would make us totally forget about our health, about our personal life. But we are going to try to have even for half an hour to practice some sports and to take care of our health, because these are your instructions and directives, and we are abiding by them because you are the role model and the symbol for all of us. We see and we are witnessing ourselves that you are on the right path, and what's going on here in Egypt is on the right path. The infrastructure, the bridges, the road networks. Don't ever imagine that all what took place, it's only the roads and the bridges. Of course, this is something which you are witnessing yourself, but many would say that this is only what happened. What about the bridges and the road networks?
لا لا ما اقصدش لا لا ما اقصدش انا بقولها من باب ان احنا النور اللي احنا فيه ده لا يقل انجازه.
Well, having this electricity,
كان عندنا
having this power,
عندنا تقريبا 50,000.
now it's one of the achievements made on the ground. What you have done throughout the years,
لما احتاج
when you needed to do more and to exert more efforts, to let people live in a better way and to attract more investments and to solve all the problems, we doubled the amounts and maybe more than double.
بعد كل الاستخدامات دي في عز الحر
All these usages of electricity or power, now we do have 20% surplus.
فتنصحيني بايه؟
I'd like to listen to your piece of advice.
ان انت برضه تاخد بالك من صحتك
Also to take care of your health, sir,
وتكمل حضرتك في اللي انت ماشي فيه
and to continue on the right path.
وبشكر حضرتك طبعا
And I really thank you very much because you have given us the chance as women to enter, to join the police academy, and we are going to continue to join the police academy to practice our role and to have a positive, active role. And we are going to assure you and to prove that we are up to the mission and we can shoulder this responsibility. And what about you? Would you please, I'd like to listen to your piece of advice to me.
العفو يا فندم طبعا
I beg your pardon, sir. Of course, we learn from you, sir.
فعلا شرف لينا.
Of course, it's our honor to have you here today.
وسيادتك احنا مبسوطين لكل الانجازات اللي سيادتك.
Of course, we are very much delighted and happy with all the achievements witnessed on the ground. Of course, we do not listen to any obstacles. No, nothing is going to hinder our path. This is exactly what I wanted to say. You are on the right path. Happy Ramadan to all of you. Of course, I am that happy to be with you today. Ladies and gentlemen, we were watching President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi paying a surprise visit to Nasr City First Police Station at iftar, as he had his iftar with the personnel on duty in the station and exchanged dialogue with citizens, with the officers, the conscripts. After the iftar meal, the police officers and conscripts greeted the president.
And many other India, China is